Hello, my beloveds. Welcome to today's Hot Mess Monday sermon. No need for it only to be on Sundays, right? Because I live in the real world, and sometimes I'm just not up for it on Sundays. Full disclosure. Let me tell you where I was yesterday instead of doing the Sunday sermon. And I was in my driveway, bushes, crying. It's not the first time I've been in my yard crying, but I needed to be somewhere different. Different. So I was at my driveway crying. I tell you this to illustrate my need for something very different, and at the same time be fully authentic with this process of letting go of the separate human. And yesterday I just woke up in this place of just such emptiness. So um, like the past few Sunday sermons, this one is more stream of consciousness than separate topics. And I was even beginning to wonder if my sermons were even relevant anymore, given where I am right now. But thankfully, I have heard from some of you through emails letting me know that, yeah, you're really, really, really getting something from this. So that's why I'm going to keep going, even if it's a day later. So I don't even remember what I talked about last week. But this August has been an immense time of letting go of false identities. I've been talking about that for weeks now, months. It's really just about the spiritual journey, is letting go of our identities. How my work is being refigured, how my mind is being refigured, even the divine mind. So this was the hardest part for me. The identity I could totally, no, I mean, that was hard too. But having to let go of the divine mind, which has given me such solace and comfort all this year for the past 7 months, 7.5 months. I've been told that it's time to stop using the divine mind, stop using the affirmations, that doing that where I am right now in this final letting go was still assuming a control that I didn't have. And so while I will never negate any part of my journey, especially the past 7.5 months that really, really brought clarity to this end part of the journey, they're all stepping stones. They're all stepping stones. Even if they last months or years, they're still stepping stones. And so I reached this point throughout August, and especially over the last few days, of just complete emptiness, no identity, very uncomfortable for the human, very uncomfortable. But I knew I just had to be. I just had to be. I had to let it. Okay, I declared this is my last, my last experience of being a limited human. I'm offering myself to God, to Spirit, to the divine. And so we just have to let that emptying out process take hold. And yesterday it took hold with tears, just constant tears of mourning and feeling lost and that sort of thing. So that's where I was yesterday. Today I woke up with some words of wisdom in my head, and I'm using that for part of the title. The part of you're not doing anything wrong. It's funny because I did a sermon not too long ago says you're doing everything right. I apologize for the glare here. The sun's here. This is an HD camera. It fades in and out. I know there's a glare. I don't know what to do about it. So anyway, I apologize for the glare here. But the words wisdom I woke up with this morning were incredibly freeing, because this is what it was. This is a bullshit existence. You're not doing anything wrong. And the reason this is so freeing is because when you're spending your morning in tears, when you're having a tough day after tough day, it is so easy to beat yourself up and say you're doing it wrong. So when I woke up this morning with these words in my head, this is a bullshit existence, you're doing nothing wrong, there was a sigh of relief to that, like, oh yeah, this is a crazy existence. And the reason we're not happy, just goes to show that we're not in alignment of this insanity. So there was a wave of relief with that wisdom that came to me this morning. And then, wouldn't you know, as always happens when you're in the spiritual flow or the divine flow, I picked up a book that I have not been able to pick up for the past few days. And the chapter was almost exactly talking about what that my words of wisdom was. This is just bullshit existence. You're doing nothing wrong. And it talks about how, and let me just tell you the name of the book. I talked about the book a few weeks ago, The Free Human, which magically showed up on my Kindle. There's a series of books by the same author of dragon wisdom, and I love the dragon wisdom because the dragon, it represents our true self, our inner child that becomes the divine child. Dragon energy, I think I maybe talked about dragons a little bit last week with the Sophia tribe and all that stuff, but the dragon energy, so it's this dragon energy that's talking to me about polarity, what they call separation, and how it is impossible to find permanent fulfillment in separation. And so we should just stop trying. And with that, I'm like, oh my God, yeah. You know, it's called the Crystal Dragon series, I think. And this is the 4th book in the series called The Final Letting Go. And I think I'm just going to read some parts of it to you, because what I'm about to say, and what I'm about to say in this Hot Mess Monday sermon, my intention, my prayer is it to speak to the deepest part of you that knows the truth, that knows who you are. And while I've had to set aside the things of the divine mind right now, it doesn't mean that those things are irrelevant. Absolutely not. Anything on our path that we are experiencing is absolutely appropriate and part of the path to get us to where we are. So the part of you that still has to cling to the affirmations, you honor it and you just be it. Whatever I'm saying right now, even if you can't relate on a human level, have it relate to the highest part of yourself, because there will be truth, recognition of truth in it. And so let me just see if I can find. I mean, it's such a good chapter. I could read the whole thing, but I'm not going to do that. But it's in the Final Letting Go. Joachim Wolfram is the author. And this is the chapter called Existence in Expanding Perfection. Okay, and what he calls polarity and separation, the second round of creation. Polarity, duality, separation is what they call the second round of creation. And what we are entering into in the divine state, in our divinity, is the third round of creation, our God state, where we create from our limitlessness and where we create from our fearlessness. We've all had glimpses, even if it's just for a moment. We are glimpsing into the third round of creation, what other people call the golden age of miracles. Anyway, he talks about, I don't know if I'm gonna read any of this, but he talks about how it is impossible to find lasting fulfillment in polarity, in separation, which is true. And so, you know what, I'm just going to build on this. We fear change, but at the same time, we're never permanently fulfilled with what we get. When we reach a goal, it feels good for a moment, but it doesn't last. I can think of very clearly back in 2004, at the end of 2004, I was pregnant with my first child. I was just a few months away from giving birth, and my husband and had started a new business, and you know, it was like a total rags to riches story. You know, we were thinking we're gonna have to borrow money from his parents over Thanksgiving, and then the day after Thanksgiving, he launched his business, and it was overnight success. And I remember it so well because it was so exciting. We would be giggling in bed because we could heard the ping, ping, ping of the email receipts. Truly overnight success where we didn't have to worry about money for a while. And while that was amazing, the fulfillment that we got from it, I could say lasted maybe a month. Because after the initial fulfillment, you're just so afraid it's going to be taken away from you. And the thing is, in separation and polarity and duality, it is. It is. There is no permanence in separation, in duality and polarity. There's no permanence. So I can attest. I have been both rags and riches, and I have been both sick and healthy. I've both had what I wanted and not had what I wanted, and then no matter what, there is still this lingering longing for fulfillment that these outside circumstances cannot bring us. So the trap of separation, the trap of polarity is looking for what I've called in past sermons the false idols. We're looking for security and permanence in these things and thinking, okay, well, if I just have a bigger house, then I'll be safe and secure. If I just have a bigger bank account, I'll be safe and secure. But it's not. And this is what I was saying yesterday in my head in the state of nothingness. What is wealth without wealth consciousness? What is beauty without beauty consciousness? What is God without God consciousness? And this is where I was at. I've said this before to my husband, but I said it again a couple of days ago. I could no longer create from this level of consciousness. This was just an acknowledgement. There's nothing I can do in this consciousness anymore. So this whole thing was separation. What is the separation? What is duality? What's polarity? It's the good and the bad. It's the right and the wrong. It's the good and evil of the tree of knowledge, I never understood when I was a kid and heard the story of Adam and Eve. I'm like, well, wouldn't it be good to know what bad and evil it is? But no, because that's what creates the polarity, that there's an opposite. There is no opposite other than love. There is no opposite other than God. And this is the lie that we're living in, that there is good and evil, right and wrong. And so the separation is believing that we are separate from our true selves, that we are separate from love, that we are separate from security, that we are separate from fulfillment, that we are separate from one another, that the things we need are separate from us, and that we need something outside ourselves to fulfill. I know we all know that on some level. Yet we can know it and still live it. So this is the thing. Separation is a lie. And when I woke up with that little gem of wisdom of, this whole existence is bullshit, you're doing nothing wrong, that absolved me from trying to feel good in the illusion, from trying to feel good in the separation. And you know what? I do want to read a part of it right now. The whole. I read it 3 times. Okay. I just love this whole thing. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna read. Seriously, this is all so good. Okay. I'm going to read this part. Polarity is a pretty crazy act that springs only from the belief in separation. Once caught in it, you believe yourself to be made of it, so you feel real change in every way, because that represents an assault to the identity assumed by you and could ultimately extinguish you. And I can relate to that. Why are we so afraid of foreclosure? Because it means change. That's what it means. It means change, and that's why we're afraid of it. Once in a while, separation grants you a pause. It permits you to experience fulfillment for a few moments. We've all had that. But then separation starts whispering, oh, I can so relate to this. You better serve me now. You had some relaxation, but now I need my boundaries to be energized. Now I need to prove once again that I am different from all those others. Now it's time to show who the real creator is in this game, and that is me. I create with power, force, and control, sometimes even with creativity. I create by dividing, rearranging, and then claiming the results for me, and you will do it on my behalf, because when you do, I might soon grant you an exquisite moment of fulfillment. Separation says that to us, pretending to be like our higher selves. Serve me, control and force, and maybe you'll be ultimately fulfilled. That really speaks to me. There's another voice he talks about that I know other people experience as well. Maybe the voice of separation whispers something along these lines. Enough of well-being. I want to feel alive now by making myself really small. I will contract my boundaries and let others kick me around. That way I will certainly feel myself. Pain can do that, right? Isn't it wonderful that a grand creator such as me has so many options to sustain himself? Which means we're either using a separation to build ourselves up or to bring ourselves down. Haunted by that voice, and the suffering, innate contradiction of separation and lasting fulfillment, many humans start searching for cures. Some revert to whatever kind of religious argument, convincing themselves they have fallen into disgrace. Therefore, only a flawless behavior according to their imagined deity could heal them and lead them to lasting fulfillment. Of course, then, as polarity does not care for deities, constant fulfillment remains elusive. Hence, they conclude that they are not yet flawless and need to improve themselves. Well, good luck with that one. That's what he says. Others, more mature humans, do not require some outside super entity or superpower they need to obey. The first example, he was talking more about like the religious, like obey me God, or, lest you be judged. This time he's talking about what I would call like the new age. Raising my hand here, they replace it with the dynamics of polarity itself. This is so me. Was so me. This is not me anymore. So if they gravitate out of fulfillment, they start blaming themselves for having gotten out of balance, for not being in sync with the energies, for not being able to accept their circumstances, in other words, for not functioning flawlessly in polarity, or even for opposing it. This is where I was this morning when I woke up. Don't beat yourself up for not accepting separation, for not accepting your place in polarity. Don't beat yourself up for not accepting this bullshit existence. To read that, to be understood by that. Ugh. So they conclude that they most certainly need to improve themselves. This is what New Age and religion both have in common, the need to improve themselves. And I am right at the top of that. Absolutely, absolutely. Can you see how in both cases separation reinforces itself, trying to improve within the separation? Oh, I'm getting chills. This set me free. Trying to improve within the separation only reinforces the illusion that separation is real. There is simply no loophole that grants you permanent fulfillment while believing in separation. In other words, separation and fulfillment cannot exist. Although you keep trying to outsmart polarity over and over again, by now you probably suspect this statement is true. Separation and permanent fulfillment cannot coexist. So I'm just going to expand on that with a metaphor, okay? If we build on what I said, that this is a bullshit existence and you're doing nothing wrong, let's look at separation, polarity, duality, however you want to call it, as this huge black box of a lie, okay? It's this black box of a lie. And it doesn't matter how we decorate it, okay? Some people might decorate their lie with spider webs, cobwebs, scary, murky, icky, demony stuff. And others of us of the love and the light, we can decorate it with sparkles and bows and unicorns and rainbows and angels, and it doesn't matter. We're decorating the lie. So there's no need. And And if we can truly just feel into this, maybe this is a shortcut to enlightenment. Maybe there doesn't have to be a process or a prerequisite. Maybe if we just stop trying to improve the lie, we can be set free of the lie. Because the other part of this is a bullshit existence and you're doing nothing wrong is this is a bullshit existence and you're doing nothing right, because you cannot improve the lie. So if you can just feel into this as not something that's scary, and to be honest, having to let go of my affirmations. That was the huge part of me, having to let go of the divine mind. I was told to let go of all the affirmations, and man, I live my life as an affirmation. So to let go of that control was the scariest part. Because you feel like you are the one holding it all up, and if you let go, it's all going to collapse into you. And you know what? That may be. And that is what you want to have happen. Because this is the thing, even though we are dressing up the lie with our unicorns and rainbows and whatever else, that's absolutely appropriate. Because what we need to do is we need to believe that there is something better than this. We have to believe there is something better than limitation, fear, suffering. And the way to do that is to kind of try and dress it up a little, because that's all we can do from our human limited experience. So dress up polarity as much as you want. But once you get to the point where you know, okay, I've dressed this up as much as I can and it's not really different, your soul, your higher self, your Holy Spirit in you will lead you to the final letting go, which is just letting the lie collapse around you. So wherever you are on your journey, it's absolutely perfect, appropriate. And I share with you this collapsing of the lie just so you have a reference point for when you get to it, that you know, you'll understand, and you probably understand on some level right now, that when we're done dressing up the lie and we still don't feel better, we just have to let it all go, let it collapse around us, because on the other side of that is the third round of creation. So imagine, ooh, that's my dog barking. Imagine your lie of separation to the best of your ability. Give it the best case scenario. Make it the most that you can imagine, because this is a stepping stone into getting beyond, into reality that's even better than what we can imagine. So I will never, ever, ever, ever negate any part, any stepping stone of this spiritual journey, even if I don't need it anymore, even if it's not relevant anymore. It gets us exactly where we need to be. But after a while, trying to improve the lie, trying to make it better, it's like banging your head against the wall, and you realize, I cannot take another step in this consciousness, not one more step. And so what's beyond that? I don't know. But I know that even how well we have dressed up our separation, how well we've dressed up the lie, it will have no comparison to fulfillment that awaits us in the third round of creation, that is actually already in here. It's not down the line, it's just in here. This whole journey is about stripping away the layers so we can get to what's already in here. So this wonderful crystal dragon calls the third round of creation the state of permanent fulfillment. Feel into these words: permanent fulfillment and ever expanding perfection. The energies I talked about, I believe, last week, where they cannot turn against you, where they will not. Imagine the most perfect thing you can imagine, and then just imagine it getting even more and more perfect. This is something we have known, I have known, we have known is our true self, and it has been so frustrating to not be able to create that in this lie. And that is because we cannot create in this lie. And a huge part of the reason I have been told to stop doing my work the way I've been doing it, with the readings and answering questions and emails, is because I cannot help dress up polarity anymore, even though it was appropriate. I used to hand people their best case scenario in the lie. And that is appropriate, because if we can go from the cobwebs and spider webs and the deep dark demons of polarity to the brighter side, the best case scenario, then just on the other side of that is worlds that we can't even imagine from where we are right now. I cannot imagine it. I cannot, and I allow myself to not be able to imagine it. So my intention is to let go of the veil, the lie, the illusion of separation. I know I have no control over it. This is what I've been told. I am not supposed to try and control this lie anymore. So I have no control over this, but I know that my higher self is guiding me. The dragon energy is carrying me. I gotta give a shout out to my man, Adama St. Germain of the Crimson Circle, who is definitely guiding me in very obvious ways. I don't know what it looks like, but my intention is to stop believing the lie of separation and to now realize the third round of creation of permanent fulfillment and ever expanding perfection that looks nothing like what I can imagine with my human mind. And so let's just have this short cut prayer and blessing and intention for all of you that are watching it and want to leapfrog or just tear away some layers really quickly to get to that truth of I with my free will intention decide and intend to stop believing the lie of separation. I dissolve the lie of separation. It is not real. It is not me. It has never been. And I allow myself to remember the truest version of myself that goes beyond all my human understanding or limitations. If this is your intention, then claim it. Then claim it. I hope this speaks to you on a deeper level, because the thing is, if we can keep this in mind of this is a bullshit existence, you're doing nothing wrong. If we can claim that for ourselves, we can claim it for everybody else. So you had a fight with your husband, he's being mean to you. Say in your head, this is a bullshit existence, you're doing nothing wrong. It's like things I've said in the past of we're all innocent, guilty of nothing. But the fact of just saying that this is a bullshit existence, this makes no sense, this is insane. If we can absolve ourselves from not being content in this existence, that we can't figure out how to improve it, that we can't dress it up anymore with pretty words, images, or thoughts, if we can go beyond everything we have learned and just say, this is bullshit, and know that we're all on the same playing field, we're not doing it right and we're not doing it wrong, we're believing in something that is not real, there is such not only relief and freedom in this, but there's hilarity in it. There is divine humor in this. It kind of makes me laugh. And, it's making me sort of giggle all morning. Oh my God, this is a bullshit existence and I'm not doing anything wrong and I'm not doing anything right. And if you can feel into that, not in a scary way, but in a way that frees you from having to take any action or have any perfect thought or perfect yourself in any way and just say, oh my God, I'm not playing anymore. I'm not playing anymore. Feel into that, even just for a moment, the freedom of truth that is in that. The cosmic sense of humor that we can't improve this lie anymore. We can't meditate our way out of it. We can't do yoga to get beyond separation. We can only live through it and wake ourselves up from it. It's like I said a couple weeks back of waking up from the nightmare. Do you want the happy ending or do you want to wake up? Waking up out of it is just saying, oh my God, this is absolutely bullshit. I'm not going to play anymore. I'm so happy to be at this moment where it's sort of laughable. There is a book called Becoming Genevieve where the author, it's a memoir, spiritual memoir. She has a moment in a coffee shop where she starts laughing because she realizes there is nothing in this world that can make her happy. Uh, just like me, she's had both the experience of rags to riches, of being healthy and being sick, and both of them were lacking in some way. When she realized there was nothing out there that could make her happy, she had the other realization that that means nothing in this world can make her unhappy. So it really is just blowing away the lie of separation, that there is something out there that will fulfill us, and just saying, I'm not playing anymore. I'm not playing anymore. I'm waking up. I'm entering into the beyond. I don't know how, and I don't care. But that's what I'm choosing. So, my dear beloveds, that's what I'm choosing, and I will continue to share as long as I feel it is relevant, and as long as I feel, I want to. It's not tied to my identity anymore. But it feels good to talk. I missed you guys yesterday, and I was thinking of you yesterday. But here we are on this hot mess Monday. Let's wake up. Let's not play anymore. Don't dress up the lie. Step beyond with me. This is my wish for all of us. And may we all be blessed with the remembrance of our true selves, our limitless divinity of permanent fulfillment and expanding perfection. I love ya.